Hello, welcome back to Journal Entries. This is Sam, your podcast host and clarity coach. I have been so excited to record this particular episode because it is very personal. I had a breakthrough via my strategic journaling, and it was truly a breakthrough. It was just a session, meaning like writing session, where mid writing, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that I've doing this pattern, showing up in this way for my clients, for my podcast listeners, for myself, for my son, even for my family, like people, I've been showing up in life for this long in this way. And it's so powerful, and it's something that I'm going to be changing because I don't like it about myself. And it might make some of you uncomfortable. You might see yourself in what I'm about to share, but it's exactly what I need to share, even though it's very vulnerable for me to share this. But I think that it's going to be helpful for some of you, especially if you see yourself in what I'm about to share. And also, it's going to be the direction that I share more in these podcast episodes. And you might even notice a shift in how I share things and what I talk about. So we're just going to get right into the juicy parts. So this was a couple weeks ago where I had a call later in the week, and I was prepping for it. And the way that I was prepping was I was just thinking about who the call was with, what our session was going to be about, and I was anticipating what she might come to the call with, like what her update might be, what are some strategic prompts that I could offer to her. And honestly, as I was prepping, I did not want to be prepping. There was this resistance to it. And I was just like, oh, it was like draining and like pulling teeth for me to get myself to do this. And that was when I slowed down and I was like, why am I doing this? Why do I feel like I have to? Because that's what it was. I felt like it was something that I had to do. It was on my to-do list, and I kept putting it back on my to-do list when I didn't do it one day. It always ended up back. Like, this is something I have to do. I have to get it done, to the point where the day before our call, it was still there. So I was prioritizing it. And it was the day before our call where I was like, wait, why am I making this such a priority? And that was when I started journaling about it. And the first thought that popped in my head was, maybe it's because I want the call to go well. I want my client to have a great session. I want her to have a breakthrough. And this session was our final call. And so I wanted her to renew. And so I was like, maybe it's because I'm putting pressure on myself so that she renews with me. And that didn't feel accurate. It didn't feel like pressure to convert, like pressure to make a sale. But immediately after I thought about that, I realized the reason that I was preparing was that when I show up on the call, I would at the very least, even if nothing happened, even if she didn't renew with me or have a breakthrough or whatever, at least I would look professional. At least I would be perceived as having my shit together, as having some great prompts for her. And it was like this light bulb went off in my head of, oh, I am trying to control how other people perceive me. And I think that this is probably happening in so many areas. It's probably happening in my newsletter, where I type up what I want to say in my newsletter, and then I run it through the chat GPT that I use sometimes. And I'm like, hey, how is this? Is it good enough? Is it strategic enough? And it gives me some suggestions sometimes. And sometimes I take them, sometimes I don't. but I'm not trusting that what I have is enough. And it's because I want to be perceived as everything that I typed is professional and smart and capable. And and what that boils down to, and the reason why that matters, because I didn't stop there in my journaling. I was like, okay, well, why does that matter? Why do I want to be perceived in that way as smart and capable and successful? And it's so funny even because as I'm recording this, I'm looking at my desk and I'm looking at a sticky note. It's a blue sticky note, and in pink marker, I have, I am successful, I am competent, I am important, I am smart. And that sticky note came after I met with my former business coach, who my sister was working with. She came to our area and we all went out to dinner. And after that dinner together, I was feeling the opposite of those things. And the next morning, I wrote down those things, kind of like affirmations of like, I wanted to feel successful and competent and important and smart. And so it's just funny. I'm seeing that now as I'm looking at it. But it was important for me, and still is apparently, to be perceived in this way as well, because then I would feel like I would be enough and I would be worthy of charging my prices. And once I had that realization, you'll notice I just keep prompting myself. And that's what I do with my clients. That's what I do with my journal prompt flow. That's what I do in the free Calm Mind Blueprint resource that's in the show notes. I build off of the thing that I uncover. And so I landed on that of like, okay, then I would be all of this to prove I'm worthy, all of this to prove that I am enough, essentially. And then I said, okay, well, what is the opposite? What if I didn't prepare for my meetings? What if I didn't try to be so strategic in my newsletters? What if I didn't prepare so much for my podcast episodes? What would happen? And what came up for me was, if that were the case, there would be a chance that I would bomb. I would completely fail. I would come off as unprofessional, as unprepared. And what that would mean is that it's just proving that I'm not enough, that I maybe shouldn't be charging what I'm worth, or I'm not good at what I do. Basically the opposite of everything. And once I wrote that out, it became so clear to me that my best work, and what I mean by that is my most powerful newsletters, which for me is when it really resonates with you guys, when I receive responses from you guys saying that it resonates, or you respond with your stories and sharing what's happening or how the prompts that I include actually help you, or what came up for you, or my best work in terms of with my private clients and their breakthroughs on our calls and whatnot. My best work comes from when I'm in the moment, typing, in the moment on my coaching calls, in the moment recording this podcast. The intuitive pings that I get and the prompts that I get on my coaching calls when I'm really listening, all of that can only be created when I'm present, not from a prepared outline like those prompts that I was trying to prepare, like based on what I think my client was going to share from her update, or like from a prepared script for a podcast, or anything in any sort of over preparation. All of that over preparation felt helpful. And it was because I thought I could control your perception of me, everyone's perception. And if I could control that, maybe then I would get more conversions from my newsletters, or clicks in the show notes, or interest in the website copy that I've literally redone like a million times. But none of that matters. And it feels so much better when I'm not doing that. And what all of this kind of is coming full circle is that when I'm not doing that, that's when I feel the best. And that's when my clients are getting the best results. And so that is the shift that I am really heavily leaning into now and into 2026. One of the biggest lessons, I guess, that I've learned in 2025 is really trusting my intuition. I thought, at least. I think I definitely learned that. However, there was still this performance mode and controlling perception mode. And now that I've uncovered that, I'm even more so going to be able to fully embrace my intuition and trusting my voice and what I want to do. And I always like to end my journaling sessions with direction and like, okay, great. Now we've uncovered all of this, but now what? And the game plan that I came up with, the first thing that popped up into my head was stop caring what other people think. But that feels so broad, so big, so vague. And so I was like, well, that doesn't apply. But what did resonate with me is I'm going to stop filtering myself in small ways. And what popped up and what I've been experimenting with is like what I'm wearing. I have never been I've never controlled what I've worn. I feel like I've always kind of worn what I wanted to wear, but I'm just pausing a little bit more now these past couple weeks and thinking, wait, what do I want to wear? And in a small way, in my office, I brought slippers into my office because it's been snowing and I've been wearing snow boots into the office. And I don't want to keep wearing those, but I also don't want to wear shoes for whatever reason. I'm just like, it's not like I'm walking around an office. So I brought slippers. And I feel like my past self would never bring slippers into an office. That just is not professional. But I brought them in. And I'm like, that is a small part of me that feels like Sam. And even today, right now, I'm wearing leather pants, pleather pants. But I've had these pants for years. And I can count the number of times I've worn them on one hand. I wore them when I went out for my birthday with my twin sister. I think it was like 3 years ago. And then I wore them maybe like 2 months ago, randomly. I was like embracing something. And honestly, maybe like when I got them, but that's it. And today, before recording this, I was like, what do I want to wear? And I was like, yes, I want to record this podcast in these pleather pants. So yeah, just what do I want to wear? What do I want to say? How do I want to wear my hair today? Am I curling my hair because I want to, and I want to feel like put together? Or is it fine to have a messy bun? Is it fine to like really not give a shit about what my hair looks like? Small things like that. So asking myself, like showing up in ways like that and expanding on the trust that I've already built within myself. So slowing down, what do I actually want to do? Not what I think I should be doing, and just kind of seeing what happens, really playing around with things in my life, in my business, in my podcast, not having an outlined script for really anything in my life. And it seems really, really fun. And I feel like some of you might relate to all of that. But as I was thinking about this breakthrough that I had, I realized with a different client of mine, it's exactly what she's working on too, but just slightly different because we're both performing. Really, I'm performing in the sense of how to get other people to control the perception so that I feel safe and worthy and good enough. That's really what it came down to. And my other client is performing so that she feels safe and worthy and in control as well. And the way that she's performing isn't, on a podcast and in a newsletter and with clients. She's performing by being on all the time mentally, by having so much mental chatter reminding her of all the things that she has to do, all of her responsibilities, because if she doesn't do it, something falls through the cracks, something gets missed. And so it feels unsafe for her to not be managing all of those things. And there's that performance, and it keeps her on autopilot. It keeps her in the mundane routine, which feels safe and worthy and in control, because the opposite feels very unsafe to let go of that. So anyways, there's just so many parallels between where in your life you might be performing and why that might be, and how it's showing up, and what you might want and what you're afraid of if you don't do that. And if this is resonating, or if you're interested in it, tune into Thursday's episode, because we'll be digging into a little bit more on the journaling side of things. Before you go, I do want to tell you something that I'm really excited about. Over the past year, and definitely the past 3 to 6 months, I'd say, I've noticed a pattern with literally every single woman that I've worked with. It's just so hard to ignore, whether it be a private client or in workshops or breakthrough intensives, whatever it is. These women, they come to me knowing exactly what's wrong. So they're burnt out, or more specifically, they feel frantic every day when their kids get home from school, or they know that their desk is messy AF, or they know that they need better boundaries, or here's one that I hear all the time, they know that they quote unquote need more discipline. Whatever it is, they know the problem or how they're feeling, and they've tried the solutions. They've hired coaches, they've done therapy, they've tried different time blocking apps, they've attempted a million morning routines, they've even booked retreats for themselves. So they know the problem, and they know what they need to do, or they know what they should do, quote unquote should, but either they can't make themselves do it, or when they do, it doesn't stick. And so to me, from the outside looking in, there's a gap. That gap between knowing and doing, between doing and feeling, that feeling different that you're craving, the gap between trying and actually transforming, that's what we're going to be talking a lot about in 2026. And I'm making a big announcement on the January 6th episode, I believe that's next Tuesday, about this. It's something that better reflects the work that we're really doing together in each of these episodes. I'm super excited. So if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, or if this is your very first one, welcome. But if you've been listening and feeling like this is the deeper work that you need, like you've been, like you're so aware, but you just can't get yourself to do the thing that you need to do, or to feel how you want to feel, then don't miss that episode. Follow the podcast if you're not already, because we are going deep. We are going there. We're doing the work, and it is going to be such a powerful year. I am so excited for us. So I will see you on Thursday for our New Year's journaling episode. Thank you for being with me today, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for joining me for today's journal entry. If something resonated with you, I'd love to know about it. Screenshot this episode, share it on social media, and tag me at samantha.s.says. Or even leave a review, which will help more women find this podcast to create more fulfillment in their career and as a mom. And hey, if you're thinking, I wish I could get more of this, I've got you covered. Click on the link in the show notes, which I customize each week based on what we're talking about. And I always include the link to the Calm Mind Blueprint, which are my 5 journal prompts to go from overwhelm to inner peace in 2 to 10 minutes a day. Subscribe so that you catch my Thursday 5-minute journal with me episodes and next week's full episode where we will continue this journey together. I'll see you then.